Hey, Future Lawyer. Welcome to the LSAT Simplified podcast presented by Hey Future Lawyer, where we talk about all things LSAT, law school admissions, and otherwise. If you want to check out our free LSAT course, go to heyfuturelawyer.com to sign up for a free account today. Welcome, folks. So I am recording this on July 16th. I am, as I've been mentioning the past few weeks, about to get married. So I am banking up episodes because I am going to be gone. Anyway, due to that, today we're going to be going through basically some mailbag questions. I have a bunch in my email I've been meaning to get through, and that will basically be the gist of it. When I get back, we have all sorts of exciting stuff coming, and that should be soon because as of you hearing this, I think I'm just about coming back from my trip. Now, because you psychos are out there, I'm not going to share where I'm going, but the basic idea is I am back. Well, I should be, someone's is coming out the 29th. Is that right? 28th? So at some point in late July. Anyway, the point is, or 27th is when it'll come out. I'll be back. So I'll be back to my normal, usually scheduled programming. I mean, I guess the programming didn't stop because you all got episodes. Anyway, so today we're going through a few questions. So let's go through them. So first off, I have an email from someone in class who says, "Hey, Ben, I hope all is well with you. As we have talked about on the podcast, you do not need to say that, but you all do. I wanted to follow up and let you know my progress." She says, "After my first month of studying with you, I'm seeing some improvements, but I'm not sure what I should be doing with my studying and taking sections of each test. Let me elaborate. Ellipses. I feel like when I take the original section of a PT, I always have a median score of 15 to 17. Okay, so she's getting 15 to 17 right. Now that can be really good or honestly really bad depending on if she's finishing. If she's finishing, that's really bad because it means she's making 10 mistakes and she's making a ton of issues. If she is not and is getting, I don't know, 15 questions done, is getting 15 of them right, that's awesome. So let's see. She continues, "Then when I review and retake the section, my score improves at least 3 to 7 points. I know it's not the best score, but I'm trying." So, okay, in an untimed setting, you go up 3 to 7 points. That is 18 to 24. I mean, you're still missing a lot at that point. So even untimed, you have issues. So I would really review this. She continues, "Is this normal?" Yeah, it's very normal to do the LSAT at a better rate when there's no timing pressure. Like, I would argue that's almost, it would be weird if it didn't get better when you didn't have timing. Because presumably when you're taking the sections, you're doing it under timing pressure, and then this review is under untimed pressure. So yeah, of course you're going to have more time to think things through and better identify what's going on. She's done, "I'm only asking because I feel like after the 1 month mark, I should be improving in my original score to have less mistakes, but it has been very consistent." Yeah, so it depends on what you're doing because often, and this is a very common mistake, people will start to understand the questions better, but then on test day, they will keep rushing. You all are such goofballs when it comes to rushing on the test. I don't know why you guys do it, but it's so typical that you all finish. Like, genuinely, if you are missing more than 2 questions, you should not be finishing. Or you should not be, yeah. But what I'm trying to say, let me reiterate, is that if you're getting more than 2 questions right, that means you're going too fast. Or sorry, 2 questions wrong. So let's say you do 20 questions and you get 15 of them right. That's not a win. You're missing 5. And here's the thing. When you miss 5, that means those are 5 you definitely got wrong. But you only miss half of the questions you don't understand. Because let's say that you can get every question down to a 50-50 that you don't understand. And getting it down to a 50-50 is pretty easy because there's not 3 good answers. There are at best, like, I mean, there's not, I'm not even going to say there's 2 good answers because there's not. There's 1 good answer, and occasionally there's a tempting answer that you all will fall for, which is still objectively incorrect and wrong, but you all will be suckered into it because you don't have high agency in terms of getting rid of wrong answer. I mean, most of you do the test too passively, really is what it comes down to. You guys should see the answers coming. Like, this is not a multiple choice test. This is a free response test, and then they evaluate you with multiple choice answers. But if you treat it like a multiple choice test to let the answers guide you, you're fucked because the answers are not easy to see when you're treating it as multiple choice. Anyway, so I don't know what's happening here, but I would be willing to wager it is. She continues, "From what I've learned about myself is that I always get stuck on 2 answers and choose whichever one I'm more comfortable with." Yeah, don't do that. Pick a reason. If you get it down to 2, pick what is the difference between A and B. Why are you more comfortable with it? Like, what does that even mean? What I would say is there's a difference between those 2 answers, literally always. Figure out what it is and make a decision. And if that's a good decision, good, you're building on it. And if it's a bad decision, you need to figure out what you don't understand because that decision will indicate a lack of understanding. You guys cannot just pick answers. And when you say you pick whichever one you're more comfortable with, I feel like you're wasting your prep. Like, you're studying, but you may as well not be studying because you're not making active choices as you go through it. They continue, "But if I get that wrong, I'm about 80% sure my second answer may be right." Yeah, you guys always think this is a win to get it down to 2 answers. It's really not as much of a win as you perceive. Like, there are not 3 good answers. So to get it down to 2 is not good. Getting it down to 1 is the goal. And getting it down to 2 is pretty bad. I mean, there just are not tempting answers. Most of these answers are laughably bad. If you come to LSAT class, I have something I call the question mark of shame, which I give to answers. And what it basically means is if you pick this answer, you're illiterate, which is not meant to be harsh, but it is meant to be an assessment of the situation. Because sometimes it's not even close. And you need to know that. Because when you're not even close, it's like, hey, it's not that you didn't understand what they were asking you. They didn't get you on some nuance. You did not understand anything about what they said. And that's, well, I mean, it's not okay. Obviously, you're going to have to fix it. But the only way to fix it is to acknowledge that you are not understanding anything. Because the amount of you that are functionally illiterate is really high. Like the amount of people that do the LSAT, I mean, I'm going to get myself in trouble when I say this. But I mean, if you're anywhere below 150, you are functionally illiterate. Like it's just not, you're not figuring it out. There are not that many hard questions. There are lots of easy questions. There are plenty of easy questions to get to at least 150. And the good thing is you can all learn to read because, we all did. None of us were born literate. This is a built skill in literally all of us. So start actually thinking about what words are. I mean, when I say functionally illiterate, the word illiterate typically means people that can't read. When they look at words, they just see symbols. There's no meaning to it. It's like if you look at the Russian language, which is in a different alphabet, you couldn't even pronounce things. That's not what I mean. People that are functionally illiterate can do that. When they see the word dog spelled DOG, they can pronounce dog. The issue is if I said the dog ran, they're just like, cool, the dog ran. I'm like, well, so what? Like, what do you think? Like, does that mean the dog is off leash? Is it running towards the mailman? Is there an ice cream truck? Like, are you having any thought process? And the answer is for most people, no. And I mean, occasionally I think it one sense, but then when you start putting them together, then because there are, like I said, levels of illiteracy. So maybe you can get the idea that the dog ran, but then when I say the dog only runs when the door is open, and I'm just like, what does that tell us? And if you're paying attention, what that should tell you is that the door is open because the dog only runs when the door is open. But a lot of people, their eyes just glaze over. And I'm like, holy crap, am I talking to someone with like, have you sniffed too much glue? I don't mean to be an elitist, but like that's not rocket science. When I tell you the dog ran and the only way the dog can run is for the door to be open, I mean, part of me wonders, do I just get this and other people don't? I feel like it's just not that hard. But I'll talk to people and they're like, I don't get that. I'm like, what do you mean you don't get that? It's like, I have no other words to put that in other than they literally tell you the only way for the dog to run is for the door to be open. The dog ran. What does that tell us? The door is open. And occasionally someone's like, please explain. I'm like, I literally don't know what other words to use. I don't think I can boil it down to simpler points than that. Have you considered plumbing? Have you considered the military? I mean, I'm kidding. But also, part of me wonders, it's like, if that is hard to compute, it's like, this is such easy stuff compared to what lawyers do. And not to say that all the LSAT is easy, but I mean like stuff like that example specifically of the dog running and the only way for the dog running to be for the door to be open, to compute those two and say, okay, therefore the door is open. That is elementary. And anyway, so that's often what's happening. But they continue, so they get 80%. They're 80% sure their second answer is right. And like, yeah, because there's not three good answers. They continue. I try to review so I understand why the answer is actually correct and why I got the other one wrong. Yeah, that's good. I mean, the other thing with your review though is your review just tells you what you're doing wrong. You then actually have to change your behavior. So it sounds like you're going too fast and you're not actually picking answers and you're kind of allowing yourself to miss them. You need to get harder on yourself and say, I'm not going to miss questions. I'm going to like zap myself or order a shot caller. Start zapping yourself every time you get a question wrong. A lot of you just do this like there's no consequences, and there are consequences because while your practice doesn't count, you are laying the foundation for how you're going to execute on test day. That doesn't mean you have to get them all right, but it means that you better be putting in your best effort. And too many of you are just cool with putting in a half-ass, half attempt, and then you're surprised when you get questions wrong. So like, of course you get questions wrong. You're not trying. I mean, the amount of you where your biggest mistake is that you're not allowing yourself to actually do what you're capable of. It's similar to like parents that can lift up the car when it's pinning their child. Like they find this next level of strength because they have to. It's like it's in you. You can actually try. But the amount of you that just don't try from an intellectual standpoint, which it sounds like what this person is doing, not to come down harshly on them, but it's like you're just like, pick an answer that I'm more comfortable with. It's like, well, fucking that's not good enough. That's not lawyer shit. Are you going to pick your cases and your strategies for court based on what you're more comfortable with? Or are you going to pick it based on what's going to win? Because like, not to be harsh, but like this is not someone I would hire to be my lawyer based on this level of intensity shown on the LSAT. And I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't hire most of my clients to be my lawyer. I would hire some of them. But there's a certain level of precision and intensity that is required when you're handling documents and handling people's lives. And when you're picking an answer that you're more comfortable with, I don't think you're demonstrating that you're ready to do that, or at least you're going to have to seriously change something. Oh yeah, they continue. Where were we? Is there any way to get out of this habit? Yeah, try harder. Or is this normal for the beginning process of actual daily studying? Well, it's normal not to see direct improvement. I mean, that's not an indicator of concern. I'm not concerned that your score is not going up crazily immediately. I also have no idea what your score really is based on the data you sent me. Like, I could, we're not data. You kind of tried to put it in words, but I was left unsure what you meant. What is concerning is kind of the what appears to be half attempt. That's going to be a problem as you proceed. You're going to have to stop doing that. And there's literally, I mean, this is the one thing that I cannot solve. If you do not try to solve questions, there is nothing to teach you because you're not implementing what you know. And so it doesn't matter what you know if you're not going to try. So I think this is a trying issue, which to be fair, this is very common. Like it's not like you are uniquely not trying. It's yeah. Anyways, so let's continue. Other than that, I'm grateful for everything and for you motivating me every day. I feel more hands-on than with any other test prep. Oh, shout out me. I just need to be more on top of my work. Yeah, that's fair. Sometimes I get lazy on my work, so that could be an outcome of why I'm not retaining information. Yeah, I mean that's what I diagnosed, which is that you're not doing this to the level you can. Sometimes it's because you do too much. I mean, occasionally the reason people don't go to the level that they're capable of is because they're biting off more than they can chew, and they're like, I have to get through 4 hours. And then in doing so, they don't allow themselves to really marinate in the time that they're spending. Because when you are getting through 4 hours, oftentimes people are just watching the clock, watching the time go by, instead of really focusing on the effort they're putting in. That could be the problem. But she continues, I usually work every day while trying to join class and do my assigned work. So sometimes I tend to fall behind. But I try to stay motivated and catch back up as soon as I am able to get the outcome I want. So I'm able to get the outcome I want for my prep. I kind of tend to ramble, but any suggestions help. You're well appreciated. Yeah, so I probably came down harsher on you than I feel like I should have now that I read the rest of it because it was pretty nice. What I will say is that it really does sound like it's an intent thing. And by intent, I mean the intensity, which I guess is kind of different from intent. But like how serious are you holding yourself? Like what standard are you holding yourself to? I don't think you're holding yourself to a high enough standard. And in doing so, you're probably allowing yourself to miss things you understand. If you are truly holding yourself to a really high standard of I'm doing my best on these questions, I'm doing my best to understand, and then when I make a mistake, I can learn from it, then that's fine. I fear that you are kind of picking between answers, and that's going to be a real problem. So yeah, we actually went back and forth a little, so I'll kind of go with the chain. I responded like all that stuff, saying like basically where are you at? How much are you doing? And she says, I will start. Yeah, because I basically recommended what I said here, which is like, hey, start actually comparing answers when you're, well, not comparing answers as a strategy, but rather when you're between two, like pick a reason. Don't just pick A because it has like the vibes. Pick A because you like A better for a reason you can actually articulate. And if you can't articulate a reason, then you're not actually picking it for a reason. You're just picking it. So, anyways, she said she will start looking at the two ways in that way because it's a lot better than guessing and hoping, which, yeah, I would say so. I mean, I would argue it's somewhat apparent that that's what you should do, but I guess not. There's a lot of things that I say feel apparent to me, but you all do not do. She continues, I feel like almost every single PT section I do, I get around the same scores. That is impossible. Everyone has fluctuation. Sorry, not specific or helpful at all. You're fine. I watch the explanation videos for the questions I really struggled with, so that's been helping, especially listening to you explain why people fall for the incorrect answers. Yeah, I mean, I'm good at that. Well, I think I am. Not to like self-congratulate, but I do think I'm pretty good at that. This month, I'm going to be try to be more self-aware when determining these answers and just not having tunnel vision. So yeah, basically that was our email there. Let's move on to the next one. So this is from another person, basically just asking some questions. She says, "Hey Ben, I hope you're doing well." I mean, it's you guys all say it. It's so funny. You really hold on. Let me check out the other emails. Okay, out of the 5 other emails I have banked up, only one of them says, or 4 other emails, only one of them says it. But that is kind of amusing. It's always so funny that you guys say it. I think it's because you're like you don't know how to start the email. You guys can just get right into the meat of it. Anyway, she says, I've really been enjoying the new platform. This is somebody who studied with me last summer before Hey Future Lawyer was a thing. She said, it's been super helpful, and I've definitely seen progress over the past month with consistent daily studying. Yeah, consistency is huge. That said, I'm reaching out to see if you have any advice on timing during the LR sections, as it's become a challenge for me throughout my prep. Basic answer, don't worry about timing. Worry about getting questions right. When you get questions right, timing will fall into place. But let's see what she says. I receive 70 minutes per section with my ADHD accommodations, but I'm still having trouble finishing on time. Yeah, and to be fair, that is a lot of time. To not finish in time in 70 minutes is um kind of, I mean, I don't want to say impressive, but it is what it is. I'm not going to pass judgment. What I will say is it's plenty of time. Like I did the LSAT in 35 minutes, as do many of your competitors. And I get that you have ADHD and whatnot. But what I will say is that your real problem is not that you're not going fast enough. Your problem is that you don't understand. And because you don't understand, you're getting caught up and questions are taking you longer than they should. Because if you truly understood them, you wouldn't need minutes per question. So what you are attributing to a timing problem, I would attribute to an understanding problem. Should you understand better, you will go through them faster. I mean, how often is question like 1, 2, or 3 taking you? There are questions you should solve in under a minute. And I'm not saying you should try to rush to do that, but I'm saying as a byproduct of understanding, you will naturally do that. Because for those of you that don't know my take on timing, it's to not even think about LSAT timing. It's to let timing come as a byproduct of true understanding. When you become a master of this test, going fast is not an intent. It's just something that happens. Like if I sit down with the LSAT, I go fast, not because I'm really trying to rush, just because it's easy. I'm just like, oh, it's obviously A. Like what are we doing on this? Whereas when you don't understand it terribly, well, you end up marinating, or not marinating. I was using that verb earlier. Now I have it stuck in my head. You end up really weighing and comparing answers back and forth. And it's because you don't understand. Because if you had the confidence, if you knew what the difference was, you move on. But when you don't know the difference, you end up burning all this time. She continues, I know you've mentioned that speed tends to improve with practice. Not tends to, it does improve with practice. And I've actually been experiencing the opposite. Well, you might be overthinking it. When I first started studying, I often finished with time to spare, but now I'm only getting through about 20 to 22 questions in my full 70 minutes. Yeah, I mean, so the other question is, has your accuracy changed? Because maybe you were finishing, but finishing, I mean, it's really hard to read out of this email entirely what's going on. But because the thing is, like, what if when you started, you were, doing 25 questions, but you were missing half of them, and now you're doing 20 questions, but with high accuracy? In that case, sure, you've gotten slower, but your overall score would have gone up because you now have higher accuracy. So, like, it's hard to know without knowing the actual differences, but is it normal to not to go from finishing to not finishing? I would say, yeah. I mean, a lot of you finish naturally because you don't attempt the questions, you just kind of half-ass them, and solving them does require more effort. But you will get better because as you solve, I mean, you can always get better at better understanding that test. That is a guarantee I can make to every single one of you. It is a guarantee I can make to myself. The more you do, the better you understand. And so as you do more, you get naturally faster, not because you're rushing, but because it gets better. And the only way for that not to happen is not to be absorbing information out of the test you're doing. If you're just doing questions and then not really sitting with them and thinking about what went wrong, then sure, yeah, you're not going to get better. But if you are sitting and figuring out what went wrong, you will definitely get better. Anyway, she continues, I usually take my practice sections in self-paced mode. And once time expires, I continue working through the remaining questions. Yeah, that's fine. I advocate that for some people. It really depends on where you're scoring. Because if you're scoring, let's say you're only doing the 10 questions and it took you 35 minutes to get through 10 questions, I don't think doing question 20 through 25 is a good use of your time because you're really slow at the easy questions. However, doing the next like 3 to 5 is fine. So if you're getting 20 to 22 done, to do the remaining like 4 to 6 is fine. I would just warn you that if you're going to finish this, do not do this if you're scoring really low. Just because it's not a good investment of your time. It's not that it's not useful. It's that the time you could be spending reviewing questions 1 through 10 is much more meaningful than the time you're going to spend slogging through questions 11 through 25. Because if it took you 35 minutes to do questions 1 through 10, the next 15 questions will take you at least 35 minutes. Probably, actually, they will take you more because there's, 150% as many. There's 50% more, as well as they're going to be harder questions. So for those people, like, don't even worry about the questions that you didn't get to. Let's figure out what went wrong with the questions you did do. For you, given that you're close to finishing, I mean, yeah, you can. Though honestly, your issue that's holding you back is that out of those 20 to 22, you are making things harder than they need to be. You are missing things either on the read through. I mean, actually, not maybe, definitely on the read through. You're not reading as critically as you could. And if you can do that and see what's coming and treat this test as if it is free response as opposed to multiple choice, you will naturally go faster, not because you're trying to, but because you're just gonna be like, oh, that question was actually so easy. I don't know why I made it so hard. Like so often in class, I'll go through a question and everyone's like, oh, that's actually really easy. I'm like, right, you guys just didn't. You guys make this test so hard on yourselves by not thinking through it as you go. Instead, many of you crank through the argument and then spend so many time in the question and the answers, and it's so hard that way. I don't know why you guys do it, but it is how most of you kind of default approach the LSAT. She continues, while this approach has definitely improved my accuracy, I know it's also contributing to my timing issues. Well, I mean, would you rather have timing issues or accuracy issues? Because if you had to pick one, like seriously, thought exercise, what do you guys want? Do you guys want to be slow at the LSAT or do you want to be bad at the LSAT? I would argue being slower is much preferable because like at least you're going to get the questions right, as opposed to if you're fast, you're still going to get the questions wrong. So you definitely want to be slow and accurate as opposed to fast and inaccurate. That being said, fast and accurate is obviously the optimal state, but how do you get there? The way you get to be fast and accurate is by doing the LSAT in a accurate way, and then the speed comes as a byproduct. She continues, I'm taking the test in August. I'm starting to feel a bit anxious about completing sections on time, as I really want to maintain the accuracy I build without feeling rushed or sacrificing comprehension. Yeah, and it's natural that as the test comes up, when you're not where you want to be, because presumably the 20 to 22 is not where you want to be in terms of test day. But speeding up does not solve that. Like, I get it, you're not there, and I really don't have the solution to you getting there other than more time and more practice. But, and will that happen by August? I can't guarantee that it will. But this is why you all need to prep before you take the test, because when you schedule the test before you prep, you put yourselves on these artificial timelines and you just don't know how quickly you're going to improve. Because I can't tell anyone what will guarantee improve them X number of points in X number of weeks. It's so different per person. And when you put yourself on this arbitrary timeline, it's like you might not get there by August, at which point, like, just sucks to suck. Like, there's just I have nothing I can do for you. Like she could get there. I don't know. Some people in her situation will get there. But as a general rule, when you put yourself on these arbitrary timelines, the odds of success just really plummet. Anyway, she continues and just says, please let me know your thoughts as I would really appreciate any strategies, tips, or approaches you think might help me improve my pacing and resolve this issue, which once again, it's not a pacing issue. It's a accuracy issue. So we went back and forth on those. Okie dokie. Next question. So this is from someone who is also in class, a lot of people in class today. And they say, hey, Ben, I'm emailing just to update you on how everything's going for my LSAT prep. I'm not exactly sure why I'm doing this. I think I just have to tell someone who understands this stuff more than my family. Yeah, sure. I took a full LSAT practice test last Friday, and I was right about RC needing the most work. Okay, so I guess you did bad on RC. I was able to finish all 4 sections and only missed 3 questions on each LR section. So yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, -3 on LR, a lot of people would be very happy with that. So obviously those 3, there's some optimizations to be made. There are 9 questions you missed on the test, but that's good. It's not perfect. So keep working on it. But also, nice job, because this is someone who works their way up to that. So that's really cool to see. They continue. What hurt me was my RC skills not being able to keep up. On the counted RC section, I missed 11 questions, and on the experimental, I missed 9. Overall, that earned me a 162. Not bad, but not what I want by August. So this next month, I'm going to hit RC really hard finally and keep up my LR skills as well. Yeah, a lot of you neglect RC. It was kind of a goofball move, but also it happens. Just, don't do it going forwards. If you're hearing this and you've been neglecting RC, stop it. The way you get better at RC is to do it. They continue. I did 1 LR and RC today. On the LR, I only missed 1 question, so shout out to you. Almost a perfect LR section, so it's really cool to see that clicking along. RC, I knocked the first passage out of the park and got no questions wrong, but I had something personal happen that hindered me from effectively doing the others. So it sounds like you missed 1 question out of to be fair, you only did the easiest RC passage because the first RC passage does tend to be easier than the other 3, but you only missed 1 question on a full LR section. That's awesome, so shout out to you. They continue. I'm hoping to cross that 170 line by August, but if not, I plan on registering for the September test in a couple weeks as a backup. I'm sorry to fill your inbox with a useless email like this. I simply wanted to share this with someone who understands the LSAT, and not feel like I'm revealing too much to my relatives who also wish to go to law school. Thank you and have a great day. Yeah, I actually thought that was a really cool email to get. I like when people update me in class. I actually enjoy getting to know folks that are working with me. I don't force myself upon folks. It's like some people just want LSAT monkey to do LSAT monkey things. Others enjoy like chit-chatting and kind of getting to know one another in kind of a business relationship sort of way, but it is a good thing. Anyway, yeah, so overall, you're doing awesome, and that was really good. Overall though, you're going to want to work on RC. You have precision. You don't get good at LR without precision. So now you just need to learn how to apply that to reading comp. And the best way to do that is repetition and review the mistakes you make. -9 to -11 is a lot of questions you're missing. You are better than that. As someone who is doing really well at LR, you are straight up better than that. So you just got to do reps and review. RC I actually think is easier once you turn the corner. I do think turning the corner is a little bit harder than LR. Getting to the point of RC feeling easy is more difficult for most folks, but it does get to that point. So I would just keep working really hard, really making sure that all the answers you pick are directly supported by the passage. You might be inserting a little bit too much outside info, because in logical reasoning, you get rewarded for being an active thinker by bringing in kind of outside thoughts or objections. LR loves that. RC punishes that. It's like, hey, we didn't say that. Don't mention that. So that is that. Alrighty, next question. This person says, hey, Ben, quick question for you, which I will note is a different opening than typical. Typical, it's, I hope you're doing well. Quick question for you is also unnecessary. You can just say, the question. Also, I'll get this occasionally on socials where someone will not email me, but DM me and be like, hey, can I ask you a question? I'm like, well, you just did. So please shoot away. Anyway, they continue. I'm scheduled for the August LSAT, which is my first time taking the test, and I want to apply to schools as soon as I get my score back. Was planning on also taking it in September if needed. I've been studying a decent amount, but was relying on upcoming free time for some extra last minute prep. Yeah, which may or may not be needed. I have no idea if you're super type A and have already gotten your scores to a point where you're happy. I also have no idea if you are delusional and expecting a big jump, because you didn't mention your scores in this email, but that's not what we're referring to. They say, so this week I got a concussion at work and my doctors have put me on complete cognitive rest, no screen time, basically told me I'm not allowed to think or do anything whatsoever. Not really sure what to do. Do I go for it and still take August? Do I need to make sure I'm still doing some questions daily no matter what? If you could share any advice, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much, Anonymous. Yeah, so what I said to this person is I've actually done LSAT with a concussion. This fall, in my stupid little men's league lacrosse, I got a concussion in October, and I was doing LSAT class at the time. And to be very candid, to refund everyone and not run class. For one, it would have cost me a bunch of money. And so I was just like, I'm not doing that. And I didn't have other people that could step in and run class at this point. We have since had other people that now run class, but it truly was just me at that point. So I was like, well, I'm just going to run class. And I did it with a concussion. It's not good. It does drain you. The LSAT is a hard cognitive test. And I don't think it helped my recovery. Um, and I think had I just been on bed rest and like not used my brain, I probably would have recovered quicker. So my advice for you would be just to not study at all until you're better. Like even the study you do will not be terribly efficient because obviously you're concussed. And this is not a like pass and like I don't want you to work hard. It's that in a weird way, the way to get you back to your optimal state is to let your brain rest. And once your brain is recovered from this concussion, then you can get back to studying. Which like I get it sucks because you are burning this time, but that's a separate question of what you do. The concussion has happened. You're concussed at this point. So there's no choices as to whether or not you're going to avoid the concussion. Like it has happened. The question is now that you have a concussion, what do you do? And you really have two options, which is one, you keep studying, which will aggravate your brain and make it harder for it to recover, or you take a break, which sucks because like you are burning that time. Like the clock keeps ticking, the calendar keeps going by. However, you will eventually get back to your full mental self. And then when you do return, you'll be more with it. Whereas I worry that if you do not allow your brain to recover, you will in 3 weeks or however long it was from when you sent this email to the test, you won't be able to take the LSAT at your standard, which will cost you points. So the question is, does losing a week or two of studying hurt you more, or does not having your brain at 100% hurt you more? And I think it's pretty clear that not having your brain at 100% hurts you more. So if you get a concussion, take a break. Now, a lot of you overly give yourself excuses and you're like, it's my birthday or whatever nonsense you guys like to come up with. I mean, for you all listening, I've recorded a podcast episode, admittedly short podcast episodes, the past 3 days. Today's Wednesday, July 16th. I'm getting married on Saturday, the 19th here. So it's like, you guys, I mean, you can always make excuses or you can just not. Like, I'm not here to be like, oh, look at me grinding. Like, I'm such a hardo. That's really not the point. The point is that, like, you decide whether or not you do things. And when you just like are like, this is what I do, I get what needs to be done. I don't know. It's you do it. And further, if you want to make excuses, you literally always can. I'm not saying this person is making excuses. A concussion is very valid. What I will say is me giving this person a pass is not me giving you a pass because it's your birthday. It's like, I don't know. It's like you're an adult. Like, how much do you really celebrate? Now, I say don't celebrate your birthday, but like, come on, you're an adult. Anyway, so with that, what was I gonna say? Um, yeah, basic one. Like, what else do I have? Like, I did LSAT this morning. We did a morning session. I have one this evening, which I didn't intend to do. I was planning on being done after this morning, but on Monday, my internet didn't work, which is why the first podcast episode I recorded was at my parents'. Both these latter ones happened from my dad's office. It's because the internet at my parents' house doesn't work. Who would have thought that parents in their 60s don't take their internet connection super seriously? I kid, of course. Anyways, the point though is that, you kind of choose. I do give you the pass on this one. Sometimes not working. I mean, in a weird way, I would just frame that recovering is the work. Your LSAT prep right now is getting your brain back to where it needs to be. So like take your sleep seriously, rest a lot. Like, I don't know how nutrition plays into concussion recovery, but I feel like it has to relate. So take care of your nutrition. Don't use a lot of screens because I feel like that probably messes with your recovery. But basically, recovery is your prep. You need to get back to where you are. Oh yeah, well, let's get through a couple more. This one's someone in class who says, "Hey Ben, I hope all is well. I just finished PT 125 with a 164. I think I will try to increase my practice every day now to really aim for 170 before August." Man, this is a funny pattern. You're all taking August and you're all freaking out. I mean, the LSAT is what it is. You might be ready. You also might not be ready. So I would really recommend that you all, like, I always recommend that you guys prep and then take the LSAT once your prep is done. I get none of you do that, but that is kind of the optimal way to approach it. Anyway, so you scored a 164 and 125. You want a 170, which, yeah. She says, however, I'm curious since I've yet to reach it. Do you think I should postpone the LSAT until September? So I actually told her no, because even though she hasn't hit her goal score of 170, her score on record is a 162. And as such, she is headed in the right direction. So like even if she scores a 164, that's still improvement in the right direction. Now, where this wouldn't make sense is if she's running out of takes, but I don't believe this person is running out of takes because you only get 5 LSATs. So if you have burned for your LSATs, then yeah, you should wait until you're like ready to be done before you take your 5th LSAT. However, if you have multiple LSATs in the chamber and the odds of you taking the test are likely to lead to a higher score than you have on record, you should do that. Assuming you're going to apply. Because like if this person was not connected to when they apply, then I'd say just keep taking your time, take a test when you're ready. But this is someone who I think is going to apply with their 162 if they don't get their 170. So it's like, given that you're applying in the next few months, you should maximize your score. In a perfect world, would you wait forever until you got your 170? Like, yeah. But given like the assumption that I think you are applying this fall, then yes, you should take the score because, or you should take the test because the score that you are likely to get, or at least are capable of, is higher than what you have on record, which will make a very real difference in your admissions outcomes. So the basic idea is like, don't get precious with your takes. I mean, if it were a perfect world, I would just say be open to taking another gap. This is someone who already took one gap year. They actually applied last cycle, got into law schools, but then made the very mature decision. They're like, I got into schools at prices that I'm not excited about. The schools I got into are schools where I'm not excited about the employment. I'm not going to go. And I think they applied with a 158, and now they have at least a 164 on a practice test. So big improvement. Anyway, so that's that. And then this is the final question, which is good because I think we're coming up on about half an hour, which to be fair is not the longest episode. I know that. We really are trying to switch to, I think, hour to nine. Well, they probably hour-long episodes if I think about it. Anyway, I have a lot of wedding crap to get off to, unfortunately. So I am keeping these kind of short. To which this person says, "Hey Ben, happy wedding week. That's nice. I'm hoping you can help my brain with this. Are the PTs on Law Hub and your platform the same? Why do I have an easier time understanding your questions compared to Law Hub? They are literally the same, but I get more right on yours. Any insight? LOL." I was like, yeah, they are the same. I don't know why it's easier. Maybe our user interface is better. Our user interface is pretty simple as far as, if you haven't checked out our website, it's a very simple UI. It's really, there's not a lot going on. And I don't think LSAC's is that crazy. There's more going on in LSAC than ours. So that might be it. Otherwise, I don't know. It is, shout out to us though. I guess our website, at least to one person, looks better than LSAC. I won't say all people's looks better, but to her, it looked better. So anyway, so I am off to my wedding and whatnot. I will be back, shortly. So I hope you all have a lovely July. Well, I guess it's the end of July by the time you're hearing this. Hopefully I did a good time. I guess theoretically there could have been a giant disaster. We do have a rain forecast for Saturday, so hopefully that doesn't happen. I'll be fine, but my fiance would be bummed. Anyways, I hope you all have a lovely week, and I will see you all next Sunday. So peace out. If you enjoyed what we talked about today or learned something new, please leave a review or a rating. It really does help us out and helps us reach more people. If you have a question or anything you want talked about in the world of LSAT or law school admissions, you can always email support@heyfuturelawyer.com to get it in the podcast agenda. Just put podcast in the subject and we will talk about it on the show. Alrighty, that's all we have for today. So I will see you all next time.